I wish.
Congratulations, Kelsey.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm standing here just thinking of the importance we place on sports. I mean, how that might be a good hockey game. $12.8 million, though. Wow. Ben's giving a thumbs up. He's right on board.
Get that money, Connor.
Get that money. Hey, we'll get you your forecast this morning where we're seeing amplified ridge or an amplified ridge in the west, which is meaning that heat continues for BC, Alberta, even into Saskatchewan as well. For example, Kelowna today, Kelowna, British Columbia, getting up to 37 degrees Celsius. Now, while that ridge amplifies in the west, the trough continues to deepen in the east. And it's not necessarily meaning cooler weather. It's just meaning the likelihood of unsettled weather as we particularly head into the afternoons. So today, this is where we start off. Pretty quiet right now, right across Ontario, Quebec, and into Atlantic Canada as well. And I mentioned it's not all that cold, but some communities did set record lows yesterday. Take a look at Prince Edward Island. Celsius from 1952. The severe weather that eastern Canada will likely be dealing with into the afternoons. We saw some of that yesterday right over the Saskatchewan-Manitoba boundary, and now we're seeing the strongest storms have passed through the Dakotas and now further east as well. But if we rewind our satellite picture from about 9 until 3 a.m. local time yesterday, you can see these storms pass right across the boundary very slowly, but brought some very active weather. And we have tornadoes to talk about coming up a little bit later on in the program. You do not want to miss this picture I'm going to show you in the next half hour. Now, for the afternoon in eastern Canada, we'll see the likelihood of some thunderstorms developing really from about Sudbury further north. That's where we're seeing the storms in Ontario, through portions of central Quebec as well, and then possibility of thunderstorms in western New Brunswick. Otherwise, sunshine across the region. Heading into Friday morning, there's the likelihood a few of those storms could linger, and then into the afternoon, we'll see widespread active weather developing across portions of southern Ontario, southern Quebec, right along the Gaspé Peninsula through western New Brunswick as well. For Friday night, we get into a position where heavy rain develops right across eastern Prince Edward Island, all of Nova Scotia, and then tracks its way up towards Newfoundland and Labrador heading into Saturday morning. And these are likely to be some pretty hefty rain totals. Take a look at the computer output as we head into Friday and Saturday. Some of these rainfall totals. Halifax, I mean, you could see 65 millimeters in a rather short period of time. The bulk of that coming Friday evening. Cape Breton as well. You're likely going to get a pretty good dump of rain, and the southern Avalon Peninsula. So keep in mind, while it is warm today and sunny, enjoy it because wetter weather is on the way. Canada, that's a look at the top stories in the east. Now here's your local forecast. That smoke drift its way eastward and northward into Alberta as well. We'll talk about that later on in the program. Right now, I do want to talk about current temperatures because depending on where you are, it's a very mild start to the day. I mean, Montreal starting the day off at 19 degrees Celsius, 18 right now in Toronto, 16 in Winnipeg, 16 degrees in Vancouver. Calgary currently sitting at 13 degrees, and Calgary is actually under a heat warning this morning, and we'll address that later on in our show. Now, this morning in Ontario and Quebec, you can see generally it's pretty quiet. Lots of activity south of the border, though. This band of storms, that's what was in Saskatchewan and Manitoba last night. We've got some incredible photos coming up in just a few minutes here. Heading over to Atlantic Canada, it's a pretty quiet start to the day. It was very chilly yesterday morning, but temperatures this afternoon are rebounding nicely, and we do have plenty of sunshine ahead. Look at these daytime highs. Fredericton today, 27 degrees, 23 in Halifax, 22 in St. John's, Newfoundland. You remember yesterday it was like 9 or 10. Today's a big improvement. 24 in Corner Brook and 25 in Gander. Now for Quebec today, there are the risk of afternoon storms, particularly in the central region of the province. I think areas further south like Montreal will likely stay drier. Into Ontario, we've got sizzling temperatures, but eastern Ontario, including Ottawa, and then Sudbury further north, including Sault Ste. Marie and Thunder Bay, Red Lake, Ontario as well. You've got a risk of some afternoon thunderstorms developing, and it looks like those storms crossing the Great Lakes will likely be a wee bit more active, a little more severe than anything further north. In southern Ontario, likely staying dry today, 29 degrees in Toronto, 30 in Windsor. We'll fly through this forecast real fast as you see those storms developing into the afternoon, a little bit unsettled into Friday morning as well. Then we follow some heavy rain that moves in towards Newfoundland, Nova Scotia first, and then Newfoundland heading into Saturday. So wetter weather is on the way with some pretty hefty rain totals as we head into the weekend. Keep that in mind. Across the country, Cat came back. Eventually.
With help of the dog.
With the help of the dog.
Until he decides he's too good.
Listen,
back down the hole.
I've said it before. One animal's success does not mean the other's failure. So it's okay. We can love the kitty cats too.
No can't. No can't. Zero-sum game, Kelsey.
Okay, I know you folks at home love your kitty cats, and I do too. I also love weather, and I love warm weather in the middle of summer, except when it comes with an enhanced fire risk. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing in Western Canada with an amplified ridge in our jet stream. And that's allowing this very mild weather to move its way up in towards southern BC and southern Alberta. We've got some heat alerts to talk about. Eastern Canada under the influence of a large upper trough, which isn't necessarily meaning cold weather, but it is giving a more unsettled weather trend into the afternoons for the next couple of days. This morning, though, starting off with plenty of sunshine all the way from the Atlantic through Newfoundland, a little more cloud for Labrador, lots of sun in the Maritimes, but a risk of some showers or thunderstorms developing in western New Brunswick a little bit later on today. We're seeing already in central Quebec some showers, really from Sudbury further north. That's where we see the enhanced risk of severe weather later on today, but otherwise, temperatures are sizzling in Ontario and Quebec, getting pretty close to 30 degrees. But I mentioned those thunderstorms developing, and there they are into the afternoon today, some lingering into tomorrow morning, and then again Friday afternoon, we see widespread thunderstorms developing. Speaking of thunderstorms this morning, south of the border, we're seeing continued thunderstorm activity. This started in Canada, in southeast Saskatchewan and southwest Manitoba. We've got a summary from Environment Canada, a ridge of high pressure in the west that's prompting heat alerts, a widespread heat alert that was actually expanded yesterday to include the city of Calgary. Very hot temperatures, including today. So stay cool when you can, drink lots of water, and make sure you get inside and enjoy the air conditioning if possible. Coming up a little bit later on in the program, we'll talk about the enhanced risk for some thunderstorms again today in the prairies where the biggest risk zones are. For now, though, it's over to Ben.
Nice, Kelsey.
Make sure you report that to Environment Canada. It comes in very handy when deciding what the strength of that tornado was. Issues or strength categorizations are issued after the tornado has happened. It's based on damage. So please connect with Environment Canada if you can. This morning, though, we are following active weather possible this afternoon in Eastern Canada as we see with this upper trough a more unsettled weather trend for the east. This morning, though, sunshine in Atlantic Canada. Enjoy it. Temperatures right across the region, getting up into the 20s for today, high 20s and through Quebec and into Ontario as well. But it's northern Ontario and northern Quebec that will deal with that more active weather. Now, as we head in towards our afternoon, these are the daytime highs you can expect for today. 30 today in Windsor, 28 in our nation's capital, 27 in Fredericton, and 22 in St. John's, Newfoundland. Heading into Friday night, Saturday, early heads up. There's significant rain moving into the Atlantic provinces, particularly Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Again, this is into your weekend, so enjoy the sunshine today. It is going to get a lot wetter. Now, in terms of the thunderstorm risk for the prairies today, this is where you can expect those storms to possibly form into the afternoon. It's a minor risk, likely non-severe. Different from the active weather we had yesterday. We showed you the video of the ground of the tornado in Saskatchewan, but this is from the sky. This is the GOA's semi-radar loop. To last night, you can see those storms very slow moving right across the boundaries. It resets here. Brought a lot of hail, and we're talking baseball-sized hail in some areas, particularly Alita, but otherwise Toonie-sized hail. It was just incredible to see, and I hope everyone stayed safe. A lot of damage to farmers' fields, though. The storms may be over, but the damage will be long-lasting. Today, as I mentioned, there is that thunderstorm risk. Otherwise, sunshine right across our four western provinces, and your daytime highs, you can see it sizzling. 36 today in Kelowna. That hot, dry weather continuing in the interior of British Columbia. Canada, that's a look across the country. Now here's your local forecast. I also think this story is about a shift in mentality that you don't necessarily have to be married to be committed, right? Marriage is great for some, it's not great for others. And so I think if you're in a committed relationship and you can make it work, you can save a whole lot of money by not doing a big wedding. We all know that. Hey, this morning, let's talk about weather across the country where we've got sizzling July temperatures finally right across our nation. 28 today in Ottawa, 28 in Montreal, nice and warm, heading over to Atlantic Canada in the low to mid-20s, depending on where you are. Inland New Brunswick, 27 today in Fredericton. There is a risk of some thunderstorms developing late day today across northern Ontario, central Quebec. Further south, it'll take until overnight tonight before the thunderstorms cross the Great Lakes. So today, enjoy the sunshine if you've got it. We've got very warm temperatures, 31 this afternoon in Windsor. Winnipeg, 25 later on today, 28 for both Regina and for Saskatoon, 29 in Calgary under a heat warning from Environment Canada. And then the hottest temperatures in our country into the interior of British Columbia, where it has been very dry. And we know that fires are already a risk and have been burning. So unfortunate to see that sunny forecast, that dry forecast continuing. Now, if we talk about some active weather, the heat warning that's in effect includes Calgary, Lethbridge, and Medicine Hat because of the very warm weather that's not just during the day, but also those overnight lows as well. Now, with that comes a possible risk of some thunderstorms for the portions of the northern foothills in Alberta, right along the Alberta-Saskatchewan boundary, and then a large area of Saskatchewan heading into Manitoba. So this is much less than it was last night. Last night, we had very severe weather. I believe we have some elements of the best. I made barbecue tacos last night. Mary Begg would be so proud of me.
Barbecue?
Yeah. So I'll give you the recipe.
So I'm just new to the grilling, and I'm a little worried. I was saying to Mary that I'm either going to blow up our neighborhood or poison my family. Both of these things are possible. So she assures me that it's easy. So this is a bit of a learning time for me. But I also thought that I should check in with Kelsey because I know you barbecue a lot.
Oh, yeah. I won't turn the oven on. This is a prairie thing and a lack of AC thing from the prairies. We don't turn the oven on in the summer. We barbecue everything. I agree with you. I felt like I was going to blow up the neighborhood, too. You get over that.
But how far into the season do you go? I know people from Alberta who
all year
shovel their way to the barbecue.
Yeah. Steak. I love my steak. I'm an Alberta girl, so steak in January, I'm in.
I love a steak too, but I find a steak in a
restaurant?
In a restaurant. In a restaurant is just as good.
That's where I like them.
All right, before we get to the news, let's talk about birthday greetings and keeping things brutally honest.
Feeding me this morning just because of the damage that was suffered yesterday in southeast Saskatchewan and southwest Manitoba because of very severe storms that ripped through late last night, prompting a tornado in Saskatchewan. This morning, it is a much quieter weather scene, though a lot of people in those areas waking up to survey the damage. If you are, in terms of temperature in the prairies this morning, 19 right now in Winnipeg as we head into Ontario, 16 for Thunder Bay, our nation's capital, 20 in Ottawa, 22 in Montreal, and nice all the way to the Atlantic. St. John's, you 16. That beats your daytime high yesterday of about 10. Today, you'll get up to 22. Now, in terms of our upper air pattern, our jet stream is well to the north, and we've got this upper ridge that continues to amplify in Western Canada because of this low just off the Pacific coast. That means very hot weather in the west. In the east, an upper trough is playing into the weather pattern, and that's prompting the risk of some afternoon active weather in northern Ontario and then through central and northern Quebec as well. So watch out for thunderstorms developing. That instability sticks around for Friday morning as well. A lot more cloud cover as well through Ontario and Quebec. Atlantic Canada, you do stay a little bit sunnier until Friday. Friday night, we've got some pretty significant rain that's going to move its way in towards Nova Scotia and then up towards Newfoundland as well. Even western New Brunswick getting a decent amount of rain, and that's to round out your work week. So keep that in mind, a wetter start to your weekend. A minor risk of some thunderstorms today in the prairies in all areas in the gray, likely non-severe. There's also that heat warning in through southern Alberta, including the city of Calgary, with daytime highs close to 29 degrees Celsius. Not much relief in the overnight hours as well. Plus, plenty of sunshine. Enjoy whatever shade you can. Canada, that's a look across the country this morning. Now here's your local forecast.